Hi, welcome to the Sales Strategies for Christian Coaches podcast. I'm Justin Janowski, your host, and I started my Christian coaching business in December of 2018, just hoping to make it. I tried to be a coach a couple other times. It didn't really work out. This time, though, God provided beyond my wildest dreams. I collected over $250,000 in revenue that first year in business and have been able to grow since then and do millions of dollars in sales while executing on high integrity strategies that feel good. And this podcast is designed to help you do the same in your own version of achieving your own goals. I want to help you with your business design, your business plan, your offers, your pricing, your sales mindset, your money mindset, and of course, your sales strategy. So if you're looking for those things and you want integrity and faithfulness in it, you've come to the right place. This week is an interesting week for me because we are hosting our CCA Live 2025 conference. This is by far the biggest event Faith to Influence has ever hosted. We've got 81 people as of now set to come to the event. There's a couple more people looking at getting tickets last minute. And so I'm really excited to spend time with all of those amazing Christian coaches and entrepreneurs. Some of you listeners are at the event now because we're releasing this episode on the morning of the conference. And so if it's part of your morning routine to listen to the podcast episode, you're probably listening on your way down or just before you come down for registration, which is really cool. And for those of you who are new here, I want to let you know 2 years ago, we held a conference and we only had 16 people there. It's amazing what God has done over the last couple of years to help us go from 16 people to 81 people set to attend the conference. And as this conference is coming around, it had me thinking about events I've attended. And it specifically had me thinking about networking. And what has been really successful for me is when I've attended other events, conferences, networking events, retreats, anything of that nature, I've always created great relationships and I've always created opportunities. So many sales, so much business has come to me from the experience of being at these events. Now, listen, I get the danger of this. If done wrong, I'm not trying to get 80 people at our conference all trying to sell each other something and do business together in that way and turn it into an environment that doesn't feel right. That's why it has to be done the right way. But if done the right way, just like sales and just like marketing and just like most of the strategies that we teach you in this podcast, when done the right way, networking can feel really good to both sides, whether a true opportunity exists at the end of that networking engagement or not. Whether a true opportunity exists at the end of that conversation or not, networking can still feel generous and loving and kind and good when it's done the right way. But the 5 keys I want to teach you to consider executing on to create more opportunities through networking events, when executed well, will make it easy for the right people to say yes and take the next step with you. If you actually can help someone that you meet at a conference or an event, even at CCA Live, our conference, then I want you to be able to take the next step. And there's no question that if you've got the right mission statement for your business, you know who you help, what problem you solve, why it matters, you're able to clearly and succinctly communicate that you're going to occasionally, if you put yourself in the right rooms, run into your ideal client who needs exactly what you can provide, who's trying to solve the exact problem that you help people solve. And when that's the case, our job is to make it easy for the right people to say yes and take the next step. So this is like networking 101, the 5 important keys to network the right way. And it's really about how to turn interest into real opportunities on the back end of meeting someone new. I've got 5 things I want to share with you on this. And here they are. Number 1, when I'm going to an event, when I'm networking, when I'm meeting people, number 1, I'm focused on being interested in the other person. So number 1, be interested. It's been said that being interested is more important than being interesting. I would agree with that for sure when you're meeting somebody, especially because at events, what do people like to do? What are they there for? They want to talk about themselves. They're trying to get people to know them and their business. And so we give them that gift when we show up interested in the other person. So when I'm networking, when I'm meeting somebody, I really want to be super curious about them. Hey, tell me more about you. Tell me about your business. What are you excited about right now in your business? What are your goals this year? What projects are you working on? These kinds of questions that make it all about the other person and give them a chance to share their story allow you to build a relationship, allow you to really get to know the other person. And it becomes very interesting when you show up for them super curious, super interested. You ask great questions, you encourage them, you smile at them, you make them feel seen and understood. Of course, on the back end of that, there's going to be a curiosity about you, and they're going to just get to feel your vibe as you show up with great curiosity and interest in them. The second tip is connected to that, but it's be present. Be present with the person that you're talking to. So really be there with them in the conversation. Now, I recognize sometimes you get into a conversation with somebody at an event and they're just talking, and we have to find a thoughtful, loving way to transition from that conversation into meeting other people in the room. So there is something to be said about that. But in the minutes, in the time that you're going to spend with somebody one-on-one or in a small group having a conversation, be as present as you can to that conversation. Don't be thinking about what you're going to say next. Instead, just listen really intently to what they're saying now and trust that God will tell you what to say next when it's your turn to talk. That if you just create space, you'll know exactly what to do when it's your turn. Additionally, beyond like thinking about what you're going to say next, which is a mistake some people make, or like, how am I going to introduce myself? They're thinking about their own introduction rather than focusing on the other person. You're not going to do that. The other thing I want you to consider is like not looking over the shoulder of the person you're talking to, not trying to think about the person you want to talk to next. Now, I recognize there are moments where it's almost impossible to be fully present with somebody in a room full of people when you do want to work the room, you do want to network. And again, sometimes people maybe cross a boundary of how much time to spend appropriately. So we have to know how to lovingly transition and say, I could ask you 100 questions. I'm so interested. And I want to make sure I really want to meet so-and-so over here. Or I told, this person that I was going to connect with them, or, hey, can we continue the conversation later? I really want to hear more about this. And I also want to make sure I get an opportunity to talk to this person. So if we're just like really honest and loving about like wanting to continue the conversation with them, but also wanting to make a transition, I think that can be effective. But when we're with a person and we're really talking to them, be present with that person. Be all in that experience. And as they feel and experience your presence, if you're doing it well and you're a great leader, they're going to recognize how good it feels to be in your presence, how good it feels to be with you, how good it feels to be with someone who is such a present listener, who's so engaged. And that's going to leave more of an impression than anything you'd ever possibly say in a networking interaction. The third thing that I'm thinking about after being interested in being present is being generous in a networking conversation. I want to be generous. I want to be there for the other person. And I'm doing this also when I meet with people on Zoom. I call it a coffee chat when I'm getting to know somebody for the first time. I'm also generous with them there. And in person or on a coffee chat, like what I'm going to transition to is I hear more about them and they share what they're doing and what they're working on and what their goals are. And I'm starting to understand them and their business and where they're going. I like to ask the question of like, hey, how can I help? How can I help? Is there anyone that you want to be introduced to? Are there any problems you're trying to solve? Any prayer requests you have? And listen, if you're in my community and you're coming to this conference, the chances are the person that you're talking to has heard this kind of language from me. They've heard these ideas. Trust me, though, if you show up with a generous heart and genuinely hope to be able to help by making a great introduction to someone, by helping them solve a problem, by praying for them, maybe even in that moment, this is still a great frame to share. And you might even laugh and say, I know Justin taught us this, so you've probably heard it too, but I have to ask, how can I help? What can I do to support you? Anyone you want to meet? Any problems you're trying to solve? Any prayer requests? That question is still always going to be well received. When somebody asks me a question like that, and I can feel that the genuine intention is for them to help me and support me and give to me, that means so much. Caleb Spittler, one of the speakers at CCA Live, who's speaking on keynote speaking. This is someone who has had people pay him as much as $20,000 or $25,000 to work with him one-on-one to develop their keynote, their stage presence. He's a great leader and a great speaker, and I'm so honored to have him speak at our conference. And he's shown up so generously with me. He said, how can I help? What can I do? He's providing an incredible experience for our clients who are joining our Faithful Business Accelerator, where he's doing a full day workshop with them on Zoom on developing their keynote speech or their webinar. And we're able to include this in our offer. And that came about because Caleb showed up with generosity and a desire to serve. And you know what? That builds tremendous credibility with me. He's just decided that he wanted to stand in and provide value to the relationship. Eric Cabral, another one of our sponsors, same thing. He's like, you need help with videography at the event? We're in. Tell us what you need. We're going to be a yes to whatever you ask for. Let us know what you can pay. Let us know what fits in your budget. We just want to serve first. And I just love people who show up that way. I feel so connected to them. And if Eric or Caleb needs something from me and asks for it, what am I going to want to do? I'm going to want to serve. I'm going to want to give generously. I'm going to want to take care of them in the same way that they're taking care of me. And listen, I could go through the list of sponsors we have come to the conference and say the same thing and tell a story about every one of them, about how they've shown up generously for me and for my community. And that builds a relationship that's so meaningful. Two of my friends, Tommy Breedlove and Chris Tuff, called this being net givers. And just showing up with the aim to give to your relationships more than you receive. The interesting thing, of course, is that the law of reciprocity starts to build momentum. And it's just human nature that when we give to people, the right kinds of relationships usually want to give back. And so when we aim to show up and give more to our relationships, what ends up happening is we receive so much more from our relationships. People give to us and try to bless us so much more when we show up with that generous heart. And so as I'm networking, as I'm meeting people, I'm always looking for how can I help? And if there's a referral I can make, I met somebody on a Zoom call last week, and I recognized the opportunity for us to have a relationship that was mutually beneficial, for us to learn together, grow together, promote each other, etc. And when I heard about what he was doing, I immediately had somebody pop into my mind that I think could use his help. And I said, I want to make this introduction for you. Would you be open to me connecting you in a group text? And he said, yes. And I said, okay, awesome. I don't do well with tasks. Let me just do this right now. And there on the Zoom call, I grabbed my phone, I put the two of them in a group text, and I sent an audio message. And I said, John Smith, meet Jeremy Johnson. Those weren't their names, of course, but just want to protect their privacy. I'm introducing you because I just met this person and they're this, this, and this. And I know this person and they're this, this, and this. I think you might be able to support each other. And I think you'll just enjoy getting to know each other anyways. Enjoy the conversation. I'll talk to you both soon. Cheers. And I send the audio message and make the introduction right then and there. That meant so much to the person I was meeting, that I genuinely saw what they were doing, valued it and valued them, and was willing to make an immediate introduction that I thought could help both sides. What a value that is. You want to build a relationship with me? Refer me to someone who could use my help. Gosh, that means a lot. I can think about the people over the course of my life, over the course of the business at Faith to Influence, who have been exceptional referral partners for me and consistently introduced me to others, and how much those relationships mean to me and how much I'd be willing to do for that person if they ever asked. Like, they're in the good list, the small group of people that I would just do anything for at any time because they've shown up so generously for me. And I want to be that way for others. And so everybody's capacity for this is different. Some people are great connectors. They've got great relationships, a great community of people that they already know. They've got a lot of trust and equity in their relationships. And so this is easier for those types of people. And you might be that person. For others, this is different. This is more difficult. Maybe you're starting out your entrepreneurial journey. Maybe you're just beginning to build relationships. Maybe you are healing from, an old version of you that wasn't showing up with integrity in the marketplace, and you're turning over a new leaf and you're not ready to have the relational equity necessary to make great introductions. That's fine. Start now and do what you can. Even a great prayer and supporting somebody in that way is really meaningful. So show up with generosity in your networking. The first three are all about the other person: being interested, being present, and being generous. When you show up that way, you will stand out and you'll be one of their favorite conversations. 4 and 5 are where we flip the script again. Number 4 is be prepared to share. So while I want to ask the other person questions first and get to know them first and make it about them whenever I can, trust me when I say this, I am prepared to share what I do. I am prepared to tell people how I help. I'm ready with my mission statement and the language of who my ideal client is. I'm ready with the language of what problems I help my clients solve. I'm ready to tell that short story or deliver that elevator pitch. This is something we help all of our clients with in sales school, is developing the language for this. But we need to be able to explain to somebody what we do in a simple, clear, and succinct way, so that the moment they hear it, they know whether or not it's for them. The moment they hear it, they know whether or not it's for one of their friends or somebody in their community. They also know the moment they hear it, if it's not for them, it becomes extremely clear. Now, just because somebody recognizes that what you do is for them doesn't mean they're going to buy it. You have to build a relationship. You have to build trust. You have to have value. It has to fit into their budget. There's all these other factors, right, about whether or not they become a client. But someone should know the moment they hear it, if you work with someone just like them and if you can solve their problem, or not. This makes it easy to remember who you are, what you do. We have to get that language right. And so I'm prepared to get to the point of what I do and be very clear and very succinct so people understand. And I can deliver that in a few words if I have to. So I've got a mission statement, but I'll sometimes like simplify even more and just be like, I help Christian coaches sell more. I work with a lot of new coaches and help them with their offers and their pricing and their sales strategies and teach them how to do that with integrity and love. And I sometimes get hired by 7 and 8 figure coaches to do sales directly for them at their events. And so I'm like, that's pretty succinct, pretty clear. They get it. They're going to remember that word sales. They're going to know that I work with Christian coaches. They should know whether or not it's for them. That doesn't mean that like the sale is made. That's not super clear, right? There's a lot more work to be done. But if I've shown up with them generously, presently, and interested in them, and then they ask what I do and I share some of that, we're going to have an opportunity to see if it makes sense for us to talk more. And if I've learned enough about them, I might recognize if there's an opportunity with them or not, which leads me to the 5th point in networking, which is to own and create the opportunity. Own and create the opportunity. What I'm never going to do when I network is put the relationship squarely in the other person's hands by doing something like handing them a business card and saying, here's my card. Let me know if you want to have a conversation sometime. If that's all I've done, I have no means of following up with the other person. I have no means of owning the opportunity. I have no way to take the next step assertively. I'm hoping that they will. And they might get 30 other cards like that. And it might be hard to remember who's who and what's what. And it certainly becomes very unlikely that we'll ever have another conversation or ever take the next step together. I want to own and create the opportunity. So if they want to give me their card, I'd prefer that. I'm not going to generally bring any business cards with me anywhere to hand out. I'm not so interested in that. If I have a great connection with somebody and they're like, where's your business card? I might say, I actually don't have a card, but let me ask you this. Could I send you a text so we could just have each other's phone numbers? And when they say yes, I'll be like, great, what's your number? And I'm going to send it there immediately. This is creating the opportunity. I'm going to send it on the spot. I'm like, okay, cool. John Smith, this is Justin Janowski. Send. And then I'm going to be like, hey, can we take a quick selfie? I can include in the text so we remember who each other are. Yep, great. Click, take a selfie with them, send it in the text. Now we both have each other's contact info and we have a picture to remember the face that goes with the name. You get to look back at that picture, and so do they when you send the next text message. And at the very least, you want to do that. And then as soon as possible after the event is over, send the next text and say, hey, it was great meeting you. I love getting to know a little bit about your story. I'd love to get on a Zoom call with you in the next week or two. Are you open to connecting further? And when they say yes, you send your calendar link and you get the next call booked. But you already had the exchange of phone numbers, and you didn't even just exchange phone numbers. You actually already sent the first text. You're already in their text threads, and there's a picture of you. So when you send the next text, they can see the picture when they pull up the thread and remember who you are and remember that they want to continue the conversation with you. Now, even better than texting them and following up later after the event is if you have a deep connection with somebody and or when they're sharing and when you're sharing, you recognize an opportunity where maybe they should be a guest on your show. If you're running a podcast, maybe you should be a guest on theirs. Or maybe this is somebody who should be your client. Or maybe this is somebody who you think has a service that you want help with. Or for any other reason you think that you guys should have another connection, you should have a Zoom call beyond this meeting. What I encourage you to do is line it up there on the spot whenever possible. So I like to be like, awesome. Like, man, that's actually what I help people with. I do this, this, and this. When I was a new coach, I experienced this. And, I'm sharing my story a little bit of credibility. I actually think I might be able to help you with that. Are you open to continuing the conversation and just connecting on Zoom in the next week or two? And when they say yes, because we've had a present, engaged, interested, generous, loving conversation already, and they're like, yeah, I'd love to keep talking. I'm like, awesome. I've actually got my calendar on me right now. And I hold up my phone because we all have our calendars on our phones, right? I'm like, are you available next Tuesday or Thursday? Are you open to booking something now? And they're like, oh yeah, what do you have on Tuesday? I'm like, I got Tuesday at like 3:00 or 4:00. What would work better for you? And we just go back and forth and we pick the time and I just ask for their email address and I send them the calendar invite right then and there. That is better. I'd love to leave an event with 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 Zoom calls on my calendar for the next 1 or 2 weeks with ideal prospects or people who I want to connect further with. Now I don't have any follow-up. Now I don't have to wonder if they're going to respond to my next text message. Now we're already scheduled and we're going to be ready to meet together when the event is over. So that's number one for me. In certain cases, that's not appropriate. There's not really time for that. Or maybe they're just not ready for that next step, in which case I'm going to say, great, can I get your number and send you a text now? And I'm going to send them a text. If I can, I'm going to take a selfie if it's appropriate and send the selfie with the text. This is owning and creating the opportunity. Tommy and Chris, who I mentioned before, also used to ask the question, by when? And the reason for this question is so many people say they're going to do something like, hey, we should get lunch sometime. We should connect sometime. We should have a call sometime. We should hang out sometime. We've heard this socially and professionally hundreds of times in our lives. All of us have. And usually the other person just says, yeah, we should. And then they never do it. If we want to actually follow through with that kind of language, then we should say, awesome. I would love to do that. Can we schedule something now? This might sound funny to you, but I do this like socially. If we meet and hang out with some parents of my kids' friends in grade school, like they're on the same baseball team and like we hang out at a couple practices, a couple games, we laugh in the stands and have a great time. And I feel like these are supposed to be our friends. And they're like, man, I love hanging out with you guys. Like we should get dinner sometime, or we should go on a double date or anything like that. We should get coffee sometime. We should do a play date. If anyone says that and I actually want to hang out with them, I say, that sounds great. I've actually got my calendar available now. Like, are you open to booking something in the next month? Like, let's just pick a day that is good for both of us. We can get babysitters lined up and we'd love to hang out with you. And they're like, yeah, that sounds great. Like it's almost like if they were serious, and you can tell when somebody's being serious with you or they're just trying to say, let's get lunch sometime, but they don't mean it. If they are serious, they're thankful that we do this because it means that we actually get to take the next step in our friendship. We actually get to know each other. We actually get to follow through on the thing that both of us want to do, because I know that life gets busy and I'm probably not going to think about it later, and neither are they if we don't get something scheduled. You don't have to be as assertive on this as I am if you don't want to be. But I know a lot of the success I've had in my business is because I've recognized and seen an opportunity and a mutual desire, and I've turned it into a scheduled conversation or a scheduled date or appointment. And that makes all the difference. I hope this has been helpful for you. Whether you're coming to CCA Live or not, use some of these strategies at your next networking event, at the next conference you're at, or even on the next Zoom call you're on with somebody that you don't know yet. Be interested, be present, be generous, be prepared to share, and own and create the opportunity. This is going to help. If you are listening to this podcast and you'd like more support from us, we've got something really cool that we've started working on, which is called My Christian Coach Plan. And we've got some questions that we can have you answer, and it can get you the data of like some of the next steps for you in like defining your goals for your coaching business, defining the right strategy for you to move forward in the most natural way possible to have success as a coach. We're going to give this to you for free. And all you have to do is grab your phone. Some of you are listening on your phone. That's fine. Step out of the podcast app if you need to. Pull up the messaging app, your text messaging app. And I want you to text to the number 33777. 33777. And what I want you to text is a 1-word, 4-letter word answer, which is plan. Text the word plan, PLAN, to the number 33777. When you do that, we're going to text back. We're going to give you everything that you need to begin building your Christian coach plan. And you can also have a free coaching call with our team to talk about your plan if you'd like it. Text plan to 33777. Thanks for joining us on the podcast today. If you're in CCA Live today, I'm excited to hang with you. And for everyone else, I hope to see you at some point at an event in the future, and to see you showing up, interested, present, generous, prepared to share, and owning and creating your opportunities. God bless you all. Talk to you soon.